hopefully this is going to work. It's still uploading right now, so if it's a little bit choppy, it's almost done. I just didn't want to wait until it was completely finished. So it would have taken another minute or two. 98%. Hopefully it doesn't mess up my stream here. Testing 1, 2. Can you guys see me? Am I on here? Okay. It is affecting the stream, but it's done. It is done. Okay, so we're finished with the upload. I had an upload going on in the background, and that always affects your streaming capabilities here. So I just wanted to get touch base with you guys and hit you guys up with some current news really quickly. We are going to be having our prophetic gathering on Patreon to go over the initial rollout of what we're going to be doing on a weekly basis. So this is going to be a weekly meeting to go through so much information that we've compiled over the years, really. It's probably over the last 5 years especially. But this is different than just prophetic teachings on timelines that you might say are in the distant future. We're talking about things that have happened, that we chronicled in real time, even giving you heads up before they happened. That's the difference between what we're doing and what a lot of other people might be doing about teaching prophecy. So we're going to be giving you guys the information on that. A lot of you have followed our channel and know what we're talking about already. You've been listening. There's a few of you out here that are very studious and that have been monitoring our channel for many years and have been watching everything. So you know what I'm talking about. But a lot of you out there are just kind of coming around. Maybe you've been kind of monitoring what we've been talking about with the news, but you're interested in the prophetic part of it. And I say prognosticator, prognostications, if you will, or, intuitions, whatever you want to call it. Biblically speaking, it's called prophecy. And there's a different definition for how you interpret what that means in our current modern day environment of what we call Christianity. There's a lot of reasons for why there's different ways of thinking about it. And I'm not saying that they're all wrong. There might be different aspects of the same word when you talk about what prophecy means. So we're going to kind of go into some of that. I'm going to kind of lay some groundwork. Biblically speaking, we want to kind of have that foundation before we start really going into all the details. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through tonight, and when we're going to record this. So we will be posting the information on YouTube. So if you don't, and you're not one of the supporters that's going to be in the meeting, that's okay. You can still you're going to still have access to the information after it's edited, and we will post it a week later. We're going to have to go through the week process because we're going to also reveal it onto the members channel. This is just for our supporters to give them some kind of, appreciation. And we want to make sure that we get everybody out there with this, hard work that we do every day. This is just a little bit extra that we're doing to kind of support the channel. So you understand, I know there's a lot of people that are strapped right now that are, economically, they're not able to do anything. And we know we're in the same boat. So in order for us to keep doing what we're doing, we need to drum up some support. And that's why we're doing this. It's not to try to hide it from anybody, because we are going to release all that information. So you will see it. We're not trying to hide the Word of God or anything, okay? We're not trying to charge for the Word of God. We're just trying to get people motivated to support what we're doing. And if you want to participate in an actual Zoom call, that's what we're going to be doing right now. In a few minutes, we're going to be doing a Zoom call. And what that is basically you get a microphone, you got a camcorder if you want to participate in the conversation. I will open it up. The meeting will be opened up, and I'll go through a bunch of information. And then we'll have an open mic where we can interact with the ideas. So you guys can get in there. For those who are patrons and those who are members of the channel, you can be involved in the conversation, okay? Does that make sense? I mean, actually patrons. Yeah, the patrons. And the members of the channel here at YouTube will get early access. They'll be able to see it. I'm going to post it to the members. And then after they see it, then I'm going to release it to to everybody so that we can see these regular weekly updates. So we're going to go through these, and I have a whole list of things to talk about. And I'll show you the PDF of what we're going to be going through. I'll go through a general overview of everything and kind of break down, what's going to be happening throughout the different weeks. We'll show you video. We'll just go. It's just so much. There's so much material that we've gone through over the years, and we want to compile it into, a series so that we can get everybody on the same page of what we saw coming before it got here. That's why we know what's going on right now. We're not like taken by surprise. We knew this was going to happen. It was already written in the script. A lot of people are like, how do you know these things? Well, it's right there in the script. All you got to do is look and really discern it and really pray for discernment. That's really where it comes from in the first place. It is if the Lord shows you, right? So we're going to be talking all about that. And we'll be doing these meetings every Saturday. So we're going to be doing every Saturday. Tonight's going to be a little bit late. We want to try to make sure that we're doing them earlier in the day. Our time, I guess, would be early after, mid-afternoon, late afternoon, and that way everybody can be on the same page. There's just so much going on, and we try to keep up on everything, and this is why everything is just happening at breakneck speed, and it's when you got a lot of kids, you got a family, you got so many things to take care of. You understand. We're just trying to accommodate everybody here, and especially our YouTube family here, that we want to be informed. We don't want you guys to be without any understanding of what's happening. Not to say that you don't already have your own views, but I think our view is very unique, and it's very deep from a biblical point of view. And I think it also is very relevant to your everyday life. What is happening in your everyday life? What do I got going on in the background here? I'm hearing music. Where is this coming from? Seriously, where is this music coming from? I have no idea. Like, this is just out of the blue. Is it coming from here? Oh, it's got to be coming from here. Okay. It's like some of this stuff is just absolutely, there's just so much stuff. Okay, so let's just go through some news really quickly. I don't know if I'm going to be coming back on later tonight. I have a feeling, okay, we've told you guys that we think that war is going to break out in the Middle East. We're saying that we're going to kind of give it a guesstimation here, possibly on the 1st. Now, if Trump doesn't pull the trigger, if he doesn't break out this full-on war that's being prepared, there's so much movement of assets. I mean, it's so expensive to do what we're doing. If we're not going to pull the trigger, then it's going to look, actually what may be happening is this may be one of Trump's signature, handshake, not going to do it. It's kind of like they always say, you never know what Trump's going to do. They call him Taco because Trump always chickens out. May not be that he's chickening out. It may be that he's deceiving, and it's a plan to position himself, leverage, gain control, right? So it's like the art of war. You don't let your plan be known, but still, what's the real purpose for what he's doing? Is he opening the door for Israel's attack? Is this a moment where he's going to allow Israel to be completely attacked without America's involvement? There's a good possibility that he could not pull the trigger and allow Israel to be completely, something bad could happen, very bad, inside of Israel. And then maybe we'll come to the rescue. Who knows? There's some other information I want to share with you, what Trump just posted, which kind of, in a certain way, kind of goes along with this mindset of Trump possibly doing a 180 and then allowing something terrible to happen. And I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, because he just posted this on his True Social. And I think it has the same mindset as what I'm telling you guys right now. And it's all part of a tactic, it's like a militaristic tactic, psychological warfare, and also using leverage, when you've got power, you use it in a certain way to, get people to bend to your own will, right? You take out a weak area, you concentrate on some part of a person's, and I'm just saying this in the art of like physical combat. You're going after those weak points. You don't want to attack them on the strong point. You go after a weak point, and you undermine them in a certain way, tactfully. You could be saying something really sweet to them, but doing something behind the scenes, like stabbing them in the back, right? and or destroying everything that they're trying to do to survive, keep their country afloat, or even economically, cutting off your supply lines when you don't really know it, when you're got them looking over here, or got them paying attention to this, or making them think that you're going to work a deal, when you're really undermining everything that has to do with their survival. And that is actually happening here at home too, if you didn't know that. But it's going on in other countries, and Trump's a master at doing that. He's got the art of deception. I'll say art of the deal, art of deception. It's really art of deception. Art of the deal is deceiving. It's kind of like ShamWow on steroids. It's your car salesman on steroids. It's like, that they're not telling you the truth. They're trying to make it seem like what they're selling you is good, but in reality, you're going to end up getting a lemon, and you're going to pay for it in the end. Buyer beware. You knew I was a snake before you let me in. You should have known. You should have known. All you got to do is look at the character, understand what character flaws ultimately point to. Now, it doesn't mean everybody that has character flaws is a bad person in the sense of them not being redeemable, or that they couldn't turn over a new leaf and become a good person. But there are some people that are just downright wicked, and they don't care anything about anybody except themselves. And those people have an agenda, and their whole bent, all of who they are, is their energy is to just serve themselves and whatever gods they put above anybody else. Okay. So those types of people are very harmful in your life. So you have to be very aware of those kind of people, because they are venomous, and they will, as the poem says, now I'm going to die. You've been bitten. Yeah. And you're going to die. There is consequence to taking in someone into your home that could be very nefarious. So be careful. And I think a lot of people haven't been, and now they're going to wake up, sadly, to the reality that, they've become one with something that is very evil. So we've been trying to sound the alarm on these things for quite some time. But let's go ahead and look at some of the news here really quickly before I sign off here. Just a real synopsis kind of look at what's happening here. We're posting something about the worse than COVID event that's on the way. They're saying now that something worse than COVID is approaching. Something worse than COVID this way cometh. And I hope we're all ready for that. Just another shock and awe. Another black swan. How many black swans are on the way? I see a flock of black swans coming our way. A flock, not just one. One would be enough, but hey, why not hit them with like 5 or 10 at once, right? It's called shock and awe. That's what they call it, shock and awe. You want a shock and awe? That'll shut you up. That'll make you, curl up in a fetal position and not resist. Shock and awe. That's all it's going to take, some shock and awe. And I'm going to tell you what, shock and awe is very close to happening. Very, very close. V. Latoma, thank you for the 5 coffees. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. We are definitely appreciative of everything that you guys are helping us to get accomplished here. And it's all something we're doing together. I look at this as a joint effort of getting the message out. God has given us and entrusted us with this, and so I've trusted Him to get it to where it needs to go. I'm not in any way trying to manipulate anybody into doing anything. I'm just letting God do it, So that's why we pray and we let God do all the heavy lifting. Amen. Okay, so here we go. Let's move over here to our Telegram page. This is worse than COVID. It's coming worse than COVID. We're posting this right now on our channel. You'll see it here post up in just a little bit. Just horrendous things are coming out right now out of this recent dump of the Epstein files. Epstein actually had an account called Baal, Baal, right? It's a god of sacrifice where they would give children into the hands of this molten image that would kill the child. It's very much what we call abortion. We would say that's the altar of Baal where people are sacrificing their children on. And this is what they did in the old days. But he had an account called Baal, and he was wiring money, and he was in the emails here telling them where to wire the money to. And the account is Baal. Absolutely crazy. This was something that happened today. I guess an ICE agent just punched the guy right in the face. He had his hands up, punch him in the face. Just, hey, he's surrendering. It's okay. It's all right. You can punch him in the face. They got their hands up. They're on the ground. Punch him in the face. Now, we did see the video that's all being released now about the guy who got shot and killed. And there was another incident. I guess they were showing another incident where he kicked. Well, actually, I think might have been the same incident that just wasn't videotaped. I don't know. Where he kicks the car of the ICE agent and the light falls off. He obviously was upset. He spit in the direction of the car as well. But still, if you really look at the part where he was shot, I don't know if that's worthy of being shot. They make it seem like it's justified because he was angry. He was an activist, maybe. Who knows? But was it worth? This is a great way to stop any kind of activism, right? Because Trump basically said, and I'll show you what he said. Trump basically just said today, hey, you kick the car, you resist the ICE agents, something worse can happen to you. And he was referencing this incident where this guy was shot and killed. Yeah, something worse can happen to you, even if you don't have a gun, man. You could die. You want to destroy federal property? Okay, so I'm going to get into that in a minute. But this is what happened to this poor guy. He obviously looked afraid. He was trying to surrender, it looked like, and he just gets popped in the face. But that's what happens when war breaks out. There is really no rules of engagement anymore, and you can understand that rules of engagement have disappeared, or have been diminished in terms of what is legal and what they can do to you now, right? Especially with the advent of AI and everything else. There is no need for what you would call a warrant. They can just go into your private emails, your private accounts. AI is doing it. It's just a computer algorithm. It's chronicling everything, whether you allow it or not, whether a court judge says it's okay or not. They can have access to everything. And that's what they're doing right now without a warrant. So, rules of engagement have changed.
Oh, shit.
So this situation, just one more little shot of this so you can kind of see. This is how it unfolded here. The poor guy gets popped right in the face, even though he's got his hands up. Don't matter. You were resisting. You're resisting. You went around the car when you should have just fell on your face in a fetal position in just ultimate submission. You got to be submitted here. If you don't submit, then that's it. You're done. You don't submit right away, you could die. You could die. And you know what? That's why I just tell people, you don't be at these protests. If a cop tells you, they got, I'm just telling you, you can do anything if they're mad or they're amped up on steroids, they call them, that's what they call roiding. You got these military type people, or they're just they're used to violence, right? They're trained for violence, and they get caught up on this. Some of them might be on drugs. Who knows? Maybe they're amped up on roids, right? They've got this mentality that the whole world is against them, and so if you get caught in that situation, just understand you're going to be looked at as a combatant, even if you're not, even if you're peaceful. You're trying, you got to do everything to try to stop them from bashing you in the head. Even then, it may not happen. They might still bash you in the head. But anyways, according to the Iranians, there has been 7 to 8 mysterious explosions so far in these different cities. This just happened earlier today. These cities having mysterious explosions. They're saying that it probably is I think the Israelis have taken credit for it. According to Amir, who I always say is a Christian Front organization that actually has connections to military intelligence, etc. That's why I always monitor his channel, because they're always saying stuff that nobody else is saying, and they happen to know insights into what's going on. But anyway, he says that it's the Israelis that did it. So I guess you got sleeper cells inside of Iran that are now activated, and in anticipation of an American attack. Now, if America doesn't attack Iran, Israelis are going to be very angry. Maybe they'll release more information. But I don't think Trump really cares at this point, because he's already entrenched. I think he's consolidated enough power, and he's given enough plausible deniability as fake news. Whatever it is, it's fake news, that people will just go along with it and just take him at his word. So they're not going to really want to investigate, right? It's not especially if war's breaking out, or if our cities are going into chaos, which I think is what's coming. I think that you're going to see general chaos across the board, and you're already starting to see it with these protests. I'm going to show you some information here in a minute on what Trump said about that today. And this goes back to what I was telling you earlier about the double cross, the 180. Really, what's the agenda? Really, what are they planning? That's really what we got to ask ourselves. So here we go. This could be in every city when it really hits the fan. This was yesterday's protest in Los Angeles. Big time crowds surrounding federal buildings. Mass, and I think Trump and the federal government is preparing for confrontation with protesters on a very possibly lethal level. That's what I think is getting ready to happen. And I'll show you the reasons for why that is in just a minute. Bitcoin crashing down to 79,000. I think it's even lower than that now. I think it's at 78. Let's see what it is right now. It's at 78.6. So 78,000 now, continuing to plummet. The Bitcoin president obviously was telling everybody to buy Bitcoin, and his sons, when it was at 124,000, telling everybody to invest. You know how many people lost a huge amount of money that did that? They lost over half their money. If they put in $100,000 into Bitcoin at that time, they're probably down to 50,000. They lost 50 grand because they listened to Trump. It's kind of like buying Trump meme coin. You thought you were going to get rich. There were people that stuck $1 million into Trump's meme coin. They had no idea what it was. Those are what you call scam coins. And whoever owns the coin obviously cashes out once everybody puts their money in. So you had a $75 billion market cap once Trump came in within 72 hours, and then all of a sudden the two big wallets pull back. They take all the money out, and then everybody's left with nothing. They got 80% of all the coins, the value of the coins. See, that's all this is. This was just a big pump and dump scheme, and I just don't think. I think it was just a big sham anyway. I think people are just going to be, losing everything, especially when everything does come crashing down, and the whole gold and silver thing. That's another thing. There's a lot of complexity behind that. I've been looking into this. And for those who are looking at the where silver is and where gold is right now, I don't think it's going to go down too much more. I think that this is an indication that people are trying to survive the economy that is America right now by cashing in, and they're dumping to try to pay off bills and debt and everything else. That's the only reasons why this has gone down the way it has, but I don't think it's going to go too much lower. And it depends on what happened with this Fed pick. There's also a lot of connection to the Fed, the current Fed guy, because Trump said that he wanted a weaker dollar. And there's policy, there's weaker dollar policy, and that has a lot to do with how you get cheap money to pay off debt. You know, it's kind of inflationary, but it's also a way to pay off debt easier because your dollars inflate. And you know, I'm not an economist, but I'm going to just kind of give you the gist of it. And so the Fed guy, supposedly they call a dovish Fed guy, right? Well, he's not. He's a hawkish, very strict, don't spend money that you don't have kind of Fed guy. So it goes contrary to the dovish type of policy that Trump was espousing right before he hired the new guy. So it doesn't connect. And so the markets are confused. The markets don't know what to expect. And Trump's doing that for a reason. He's putting that doubt in everybody's mind about what's coming economically and also militarily. And there's a reason why he's doing that. It's called control. It's called just raw, naked power. And we knew he was going to do this from the very beginning. The whole first term was just a preparation for that empowering, that resurrection of this person that we knew was hiding and waiting in the wings. We already told you that way before, almost going back to the first term. We told you what was coming. Right as soon as he was leaving office, we gave you the heads up on what we thought was going to happen with Trump, even though a lot of people that were political analysts said he was completely done. There's no way he's coming back. Even all the big money was betting on Kamala Harris, because whoever's behind the scenes, the puppet masters of the show were definitely, they made Biden win, right? Supposedly they made Biden win, and they did. Well, Trump's very close to those powers. He knew that was what the plan was. Swing everything so far to the left that when he comes back, it's going to be boomtown. Everybody's going to listen to him. Even the people on the left are going to be in shock and awe from what's coming. And so we knew that was what was in the works there. Okay, so really quick, hold on one second. I just got to stoke my little fire here. It's already out here. Hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. Okay, guys, I got this little itty bitty stove in here. Okay, so it's like this little rocket stove. But it's a small little studio, kind of separate little studio out by itself. And this little fire goes out and it gets cold, so I got to keep it stoked. So it's one of those little rocket stoves. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying, I should have stoked it before because it almost went out. Okay, so Trump, let's get back to this really quick. Okay, so Trump, Saudi defense chief tells Trump, strike Iran or it gets stronger. This is the Sauds telling Trump to do it now, do it now. Trump not doing it. Why is Trump not doing it? Shouldn't it have happened already? Why is this happening? He seems to be building the armada. He seems to be talking the talk, but is he going to walk the walk? Is he going to pull back? Is he going to give that taco statement or that taco, what they call a, what is it? What do they call that when you use letters to represent something? Acronym. Is that going to stick? Because he's not really chickening out. I just think that he's using the art of, the art of war type stuff. But anyways, so is he going to do, and this all has to do with Israel too. This has to do with who's in control. Is Israel in control or is Trump in control, right? Who's in control here? Is it Israel or Trump? You got to ask yourself, is this what's really going on behind the scenes? That's what the whole Epstein thing was all about. You wonder why all this Epstein stuff came out here yesterday? There's a reason why. It may, in fact, be connected to the Iran stuff. That's what people are saying. But anyways, if you don't know about the Israeli factor behind American politics, and you think that, because you're a Christian and you say they're the chosen people and we need to bless Israel, and you got that mindset, you're not going to understand this. You're not going to understand history and what's actually affecting current day geopolitics here, not just in America, but all around the world, really. You got to understand that. And it's very important to understand and have an unbiased view of history. People have a biased view of history. They just watch, they're told, it's kind of like that echo chamber mindset where they tell you something that you already have a bias to, and they make you, it's what they call propaganda. Really, that's what it is. It's propaganda. We have a propaganda mindset that we just love to just feast on, whatever sounds good, but a lot of countries do that. A lot of countries have that propaganda mindset, and it's always going to be in favor of their brand and their power and their national interests, right? So you got to always be out. You got to always. That's why you can't be just devoted to a nation state and worship the good dear leader. Because if you do, you're not going to have the ability to find truth. You're not going to be able to see the big picture. You don't want to be worshiping anybody, anyway, or any system. You want to worship the God Most High and His government that is upon His shoulders that will be forever and ever, right? Well, that's why the Jews gave him that scripture, that same scripture. The government will rest upon his shoulders. He will be called the Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, and the government will rest upon his shoulders. That was reserved only for the Messiah, by the way. It wasn't supposed to be given to Donald Trump. But they said it was him. So, like I said, a lot of Jews thought, and they may still think, he is their Messiah to bring in and restore their temple and the glory of their eternal kingdom, which they believe is going to rule all the nations at a certain point when the Messiah truly does come. And they believe that Donald Trump is the one that, at least they did. I don't know if they still do. Maybe they're starting to wonder now that, it depends on how they handle this whole Israel thing, right? Or the Iran thing. How does Trump handle this Iran thing? How is America going to fare? Are we going to come out on the losing end, or is Trump going to become a global leader and not really care about the national sovereignty issue, because he's going to become more of a global kind of guy? Maybe he's going to pivot away from what's going on here and, decide he wants to rule the world. Well, with this whole Board of Peace thing, you got to kind of wonder, because a lot of leaders in countries and nations around the world are currying favor. They're just like bowing down and going along, giving them billions of dollars. Here, how much you want, Trump? Billions? Billions? How much? Trillions? With trillions at his disposal. Remember what Prince Charles said, trying to figure out who that guy was that had trillions at his disposal and an army and a military that was unmatched. Never mentioned the name, but you got to wonder if it was Trump. A lot of people thought it was he was talking about the Antichrist. We're talking about Prince Charles' statement a while back. And I'm just referencing that because I think maybe it does reference what's going on with this whole Board of Peace. If you don't know what the Board of Peace is, it's taken over everything. It's taken over the UN. This is where all the decisions of the globe are going to be under this, board that Trump is the chairman of, undisputed chairman, can never be replaced either. He's a lifetimer, and whoever he chooses to follow in his dynasty. It's kind of like the pharaohs. There is no elections. There is no elections. You're just born into your kingship. That's just the way it is. But there's something more prophetic going on here that people have missed. A lot of Christian prophecy teachers I think are missing. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure you get over there on our Patreon. And it is pinned in the comments. If you want to be a part of that, get in on that conversation, and we'll start that a little bit in a minute. Saudi chief says, so much for we urge calm, quote unquote. Behind closed doors, Saudi Defense Minister Prince Khalid bin Salman just hit Trump with a not so gentle nudge. You've barked long enough, time to bite. In a DC briefing that definitely wasn't meant to leak. Oops. KBS, that's Khalid, Prince Khalid bin Salman, told think tanks that if Trump doesn't follow through on his Iran threats, the regime is going to strut out of this mess stronger than ever. Talking about Iran. If he doesn't do something and do it now and decimate this regime, they will come forth much stronger. This is what the Sauds are saying. So this comes a week after his brother, Mohammed bin Salman, was warning against escalation. Now they're practically packing Trump's go bag. See how they're switching here? Now, this is the same thing about what I'm going to talk to you about what Trump just said here in a minute. Let's just go into that right now. Let me, while it's so fresh on my mind here. So this is Trump's Telegram account, but he posted this on his True Social too, so it's all over all of his social media. But this is what he said. I have instructed, now this is a long drawn out statement here, but he says, I have instructed Secretary of Homeland Security, Christine Noem. Is this the right one? Yeah. I have instructed Christine Noem that under no circumstances are we going to participate in various poorly run Democrat cities with regard to their protests and or riots unless and until they ask for help. So what Trump is saying now is, hey, we're not going in there to break things and to be tyrants into your states. We're going to let you beg for help. He even says later on, you're going to have to say please to the governors of these states. You're going to have to beg me and ask with a please to come help you. You know why? Because things are going to get really bad. And Trump knows it. Now, what Trump is saying, though, is that we're going to protect federal property. That's all we're going to do. We're not going to help you guys. You guys are on your own unless you beg for help. Then we might come and help. But for right now, you're on your own. And you have an obligation to take care of our federal property. Not only are we going to viciously and violently take care of our federal property, you're going to also help, right? This is what he's saying here. So he says, we will, however, guard and very powerfully so any and all federal buildings that are being attacked by these highly paid lunatics, agitators, and insurrectionists. So any and all federal buildings that are being attacked by these highly paid lunatics, agitators, and insurrectionists. I don't know if that sentence makes sense. We will, however, guard and very powerfully so any and all federal buildings that are being attacked by these highly paid lunatics. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay. So then he goes on to say, please be aware that I have instructed ICE and or Border Patrol to be very forceful in this protection of federal government property. There will be no spitting in the faces of our officers. There will be no punching or kicking the headlights of our cars. See, that's in reference to that video that just came out about the guy that was shot, right? And killed because he did kick one of the headlights and it fell off. So this is a new video that came out in the last day or two showing that he had kicked the car. This is now justification for shooting and killing him, I guess. So there will be none of this, he says, and there will be no rock or brick throwing at our vehicles or at our patrol warriors. If there is, those people will suffer an equal or more consequence. So what are they going to suffer? An equal consequence, which could be death. So if you do, and I'm not in any way advocating any kind of protest. I tell people not even to go to protests. But those that are protesting, you're in danger of being shot and killed if you happen to do something that's not, especially if you're harming federal property. He's basically saying if you're harming federal property, you might be shot and killed. Not just an assault on a police officer, which is obviously something you shouldn't ever do. But if you're harming federal property, he's kind of saying here, you could die. That's what I'm getting from this. I understand that you could die if you assault a police officer. I understand that. And anybody that's out there protesting that in any way resists or attacks law enforcement, you're stupid, okay? You're just plain stupid, okay? I don't care what the protest is about. I don't care how passionate you are about it. You're potentially going to incur some harm. And now in an environment like this, probably you could die. But when you talk about property or federal property, they're almost equating that to an attack on the officer themselves as well. That now you can die because they're forcefully protecting federal property. And he made it sound in this, it just seems like, tell me if that's not what you're getting from this, that he's equating the consequence of what happened to that guy who kicked the car and him being shot and killed to people that are protesting against and harming federal property. Doesn't it seem like that's kind of what he's equating it to? Because he said there will be no rock or brick throwing at our vehicle. He's talking about just vehicles or property. Or at our patriot warriors. Well, he's talking about, Anyways, all I'm saying is this is getting to the point where it's an escalation. And I think what Trump is saying here, if we continue, you'll see, is that he's kind of preparing these states for chaos, and that the federal government is not going to help them unless they come begging and asking for help with a pretty please. So it says, in the meantime, but why would he be saying it like that? Because maybe he knows things are about to go really crazy. That's what I think. So it says, in the meantime, by copy of this statement, I am informing local governments, as I did in Los Angeles when they were rioting at the end of the Biden term, that you must protect your own state and local property. So they're saying the federal government's not going to help you if you got problems on your turf. They're going to stay in their lane. So Trump is now saying, federal agents are going to stay in their lane. In addition, it is your obligation. Now, does that mean that they're not going to go after illegals anymore? See, I'm kind of wondering, what does this mean? Is he trying to say that they're not going to be going after illegals? I don't know. In addition, it is your obligation to also protect our federal property, buildings, parks, and everything else that's federal, right? They need to protect it. We are there to protect federal property. That's the only reason they're there, supposedly, to protect federal property. Only as a backup, in that it is local and state responsibility to do so. So he's saying we're there to just protect our critical infrastructure. You're supposed to protect it, but we're there just in case. So he's basically saying that ICE is there. It seems like he's saying we're there only to protect our property. I thought they were there to go round up illegals. I don't know. So then he goes on to say, last night in Eugene, Oregon, these criminals broke into a federal building and it did great damage, also scaring and harassing the hardworking employees. Local police did nothing in order to stop it. We will not let that happen anymore. If local governments are unable to handle the insurrectionists, agitators, and anarchists, we will immediately go to the location where such help is requested and take care of the situation very easily and methodically, just as we did in Los Angeles riots 1 year ago, where the chief of police said, quote, we couldn't have done it without the help of the federal government. Therefore, to all complaining governments, to all complaining local governments, governors, mayors, he's talking about the blue states, right? Or maybe even red states, who knows? Let us know when you are ready and we will be there. But before we do so, you must use the word please. You must use this is like saying uncle. Are you ready? You got to say uncle first. Say uncle. Are you ready? Because I used to do that with my little brother. Do you really want it? Are you ready? Say uncle. All right, uncle. All right. Okay. So remember that I stated in the strongest language to beware ICE, Border Patrol, or if necessary, our military will be extremely powerful and tough in the protection of our federal property. So this is just about federal property, I guess. We will not allow our courthouse, federal buildings, or anything else under our protection to be damaged in any way, shape, or form. I was elected on a policy of border control, which has now been perfected. National security and law and order, that's what America wants. Yeah, we don't want chaos, but what brought about the chaos? I mean, Lance Walnew wrote the book, The Chaos Candidate. Whenever he's, there, it just seems like chaos ensues from the first term to the second term and in between his terms, which really many said that he was actually still president during Biden, that he was still controlling things. It was all part of the plan, right? That's what Q said. So you could say, hey, if you believe that the Q was right, well, then you believe that everything that was going on under Biden was all because Trump was still in control. Like I said, was this problem, reaction, solution? Are we in the solution part now? They create the problem, cause a reaction. That was Biden. The reaction was Biden and all the stuff that went on during Biden administration. And now the solution is Trump 2.0. Trump 1.0 problem. Everything was a problem, right? Everything was attack. Everybody was turning on him. He was a sacrificial lamb. He was trying to only do right, but he still did a lot of great things, even in spite of the whole world being against him. But hey, the reaction came as a result, swinging far to the left. Everything went into chaos. The right was horrified and justified in their understanding that it was stolen and look at what just happened. But there was a resurrection. He rose from the political dead. From a mortal political head wound, he has risen, and he's come to save the day, just like Mighty Mouse. Here he comes to save the day. SNL. What was that? What was the guy that sang that song? Oh, wow. Anyways, so then he comes back, and now he's going to exact his vengeance and his justice, and he's going to save us from ourselves because we've just been such bad children. And, yeah, the world is corrupt anyway. But, that corruption is just what happens when you don't have true law and order in the heart, right? That comes from an understanding of what the truth really is. Biblical truth is what should guide us, not political, whatever political brand you might think is moral. Everybody has a moral principle they believe is above. This is why they, even if it's whatever political system they choose, they think it's above all others. And they might ascribe to it as some kind of moral reason. But anyways, it goes on to say, and he goes on to say, that's what America wants. That's what America is getting. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah, things are going to get worse. Okay, so let's really, before I finish up here, let's just look at this really quick. I got to stoke one more time. BP News here. The new app is available for download at the Apple and Android stores. Get notified instantly when breaking news takes place via the push notification feature if you are just a guest and downloaded, or if you become a member by clicking the upper right-hand corner where the little person icon is to register with BP News. You'll also get a text alert with other community features that will become available when you are a registered member. Do it now before breaking news really hits the fan. Okay, we're back. Perfect timing. All right, so here we go. Let's just finish up here really quickly, and then we're going to start our meeting in Zoom. If you want to be a part of that, make sure you get connected over there at Zoom. Okay, so, and all the links, by the way, will be in Patreon. All your links will be there in Patreon to know how to get into the Zoom meeting. The Zoom meeting will give you the links, okay? So it says people must be taking... Okay, so this is what I said. People must be taking Bitcoin and converting it into gold, silver, and oil and food reserves for the Third World War that is upon us now, because Bitcoin is crashing. It's just... I don't think Bitcoin is going to save you. And neither is gold or silver, for that matter. It's really the only thing that's going to save you is Jesus, right? But in the meantime, we still occupy until he comes and still make wise investments. Don't be stupid. Continue your jobs and continue investing and continue supporting the gospel, because this is the most important investment you can make, both for time and eternity. So let's continue with this message. Amen. This right here is an explosion in Iran that occurred. This was one of the explosions that took place. You can find all the videos here on our Telegram page. These are the different cities that it happened in. This could be what sets everything off in the world. Not sure about that, but this is some video here and different footage of all the explosions that have happened inside of Iran. So all these different locations of different explosions, all happening today. You got to wonder what's going on there. Oh, and then this guy was eliminated, according to, the Israelis. This is a commander of the IRGC army, Commander Grissery. And by the way, the Iranians have many levels now of successors in case they're martyred. So there's not going to be any kind of capitulation, even if they have the second, third layer and the third tier, the fourth tier. They're just going for broke. They're going to go all the way, all out to the bitter end. So the Iranians are ready to fire Z missiles. They're ready to fire Z missiles. Khomeini makes first public appearance in weeks as Iran makes new threats against U.S. and Israel. Dramatic satellite image shows activity at Iran nuclear sites bombed by the U.S. despite Trump warning that he is prepared to strike again. Maybe Trump's not going to do anything. Maybe he's just going to let them attack Israel. And we're going to just sit by and wonder what's next now. Who knows? I don't know. But like I said, my daughter had that dream about tanks. It was connected to February 1st. Now, she's had many dreams that are prophetic. We pray for God to speak to us in our dreams too. And the kids, for some reason, they got just a very clear connection to the Lord. Sometimes they get these very specific dreams, and we pay attention to them. That was one of the prophecies we got. And I'll talk about that in the meeting tonight, about when I first met my wife. The Lord gave us a prophecy about the children. It's very weird. I'll tell you more about that. And so anyway, so she had this dream that she saw tanks, which was connected to February 1st. And there's a reason why it was connected, but I'm not going to go into all the details. But I'll just say there's a possibility. Now, February 1st starts, actually, I think it's right now. What day is it here? Let's see what the day is in Israel, Middle East. What day is it in? We'll say Israel because I think it's probably the same day or close to it. Yeah, it's February 1st, Sunday. And what time is it? It is 5:09 a.m. So it's been February 1st for about 5 hours. Okay, so we got 5 hours in. Now, this could have been February 1st their time, or it could be February 1st our time, which means that it would be on a Sunday. So that might mean that if it does happen, and this was a prophetic message, and I'm just putting it out there for you guys just in case, it could have been the pizza she ate. We don't know, but I'm just going to put it out there. That means it might have, if it was our time, it would happen on a Sunday. So their time, it should be right now, but I think it's going to be Sunday, which will be tomorrow. Okay, so let's move on. All the red, $230 billion was wiped out of the crypto market cap, out from crypto market cap today. Huge bloodletting. Banks are failing, by the way. Failed bank information for Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust, and they're saying a bunch of others are doomed to failure and that are lining up right behind it. Maybe this is Trump's great reset to move us all into the crypto. He said this was going to be the foundation of our currency. Was going to be crypto. It doesn't look like it at this point. Maybe they're trying to crash it so they can buy up a whole bunch more. I don't know, at a lower price. But the banks they're showing a bunch of craziness going on within the banking system sector. Be careful with what you got in your bank. Might be a bank bail-in and you'll lose it all. This is Trump showing off his new Arch of Trump, kind of similar to the Arch of Triumph in Paris, but it's going to be his arch. And this thing is huge. It's 250 feet high, half the size of the, what is it, the obelisk in the square there in D.C., right? I think that they said it's massive. It's massive. So it towers over most all the other architecture besides the obelisk. They say it is also affecting the skyline. It may, in fact, impede views to certain other historic architecture in the area, and that it's not a good place to put it because it's so big and it obstructs the view. So they're saying that it's probably not a good place to put it, but, you know, this is going to be Trump's claim to fame here. This is all about Trump. Okay, so there we go. All right, so we're going to be in our new place here in just a moment over on Zoom. So you will get the links in our Patreon. If you're a part of the Patreon links are in the description above. Get connected over there if you want to be in on the actual recording. We're doing the recording right now. We're just doing the recording. We're doing the raw. And I'm going to go in all the details of what we're doing with this when you get there. Okay, so this is going to be the first of a series of messages on all the different prophecies that have come to pass and also are embedded within Scripture, Daniel, Ezekiel, Revelation, and how they connect to what's happening in our current news cycle and how a lot of them have already come to pass. Some are happening right now, and some I believe are almost going to happen right now. We're in the midst of it happening. So here we go. I'm looking at some of your comments here before I go. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. Can you see? Okay, so the link is right there at the top, just so that you know, so nobody misses it that wants to be there. I think this is it. Is this the right link? Tell me if this works. Does it work? Yes, it does work. Okay. So we'll be live in just about 15 minutes. Give me 15 minutes and I'll be live over there, okay? And we'll all be in the Zoom. So it's going to be a link to Zoom. Okay? You got to be in the Zoom. So get ready. God bless, and I'll